go. I have too many buttons on this desktop. Although I did get to put on my engineer hat this morning and try to figure out why um, absolute chaos breaks loose on my speakers when I'm rendering video. And it turns out I have really nasty power around here. It's not clean at all. So anytime my processor revs up or my video card revs up, it pulls all that extra juice, and then my speakers just are crackling. So the advantage is no matter where I am in my office, I know when my video is done rendering because the noise goes away.
Not the ideal method though.
No, not what I want to do. I don't need to be like a toaster oven where I hear it whirring and ding. It's almost what it feels like though. All right. So it has been absolute chaos around here. Just lots of movement at managed services platform. I am working through a pretty detailed roadmap of the software. So for the first time ever, we will release a roadmap, hopefully around April 1st, maybe a little after, so we won't think it's a joke. And you will actually get to see what features we are working on, where we're going with it, and we can promote different kinds of member-driven feature requests. So we have quite a few feature requests that are in the queue, but what we're doing right now is we're taking a strategic approach to it and how they relate to each other and in ways to make these feature requests better. So we do have a release coming up here in mid-February for some bug fixes and for some interesting little add-ons like for those of you who use ScalePad, there will be a better CSV integration there. For some of you Autotask users, one of our bug fixes is going to come out at that time. And just some really good stuff is coming up. So we might get that bug fix earlier because I know Skip's been hounding me. So it's not Skip, it's not you guys. He is pressuring me to get the Autotask fix in place.
Thank you.
But you know, we upgraded to the new API calls that Autotask forced on all of us. Evidently, using 10-year-old or 8-year-old API calls just wasn't something they liked, and
Yeah.
you gotta switch those API calls every few years. So we got ours upgraded a year ahead of time, and just got a few bugs to work out. So, anyways, for you those using Autotask and seeing some of those bugs, they will be resolved hopefully by February 14th. If not, they might be resolved Friday, but I shouldn't have been recording that. They're in the test environment now. That usually means that they're about 3 to 4 days from being pushed. Anyways,
and speaking of bugs in the system, yes, please, if you find something, reach out to us. We do want to try to get those taken care of. Obviously been in technology a long time, and I've been really surprised at how stable our platform is overall, but problems do occur from time to time. And in this case, though, like the Autotask, there is a bit of a workaround. So if you hit something that is a bit of a brick wall, give me a call and we'll figure out some way we can go around the wall, at least temporarily, to get you guys up and running.
Yep, definitely. And I know this week it's a little bit redundant. We're kind of covering some things from last week. So it looks like our attendance is a little lower. Even Bob showed up though, So
yeah, that's good.
I got to give him a hard time whenever he shows up. And all right, so this week for our update, besides telling you about bug fixes and requesting things, we want to make sure that we're keeping on top of architecture audits for the quarter, because it's easy to start off all gung-ho in January, and then February comes along and we get busy. And then March comes around and you're like, oh, well, we should have, but we fell behind. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's November and you've got nothing done when it comes to strategic overviews with your clients. So what we really want to focus on today is the deep dive. Just like I said in the newsletter, if you read the newsletter, it kind of gives you that preview of what we're going to talk about. And we want to really show you in the architecture report what the value is you're trying to drive. And the secret sauce here, I'm going to tell you early, I'm not going to wait till the end, it's projects. You want to drive projects, and you're going to do that by putting them in context. No one, not a single less sorry, not a single person I have talked to or represented as a VCIO has ever been really impressed when somebody tells them how cool a new firewall is. And I use this as my punching bag every time I talk about architecture audits because you guys seem to think that that's your comfort zone. Hey, let's talk about firewalls. Let's talk about PCs. Your client doesn't care. So when you're doing an architecture audit here, when we run through this report, you're going to actually add value by showing how this is going to improve their everyday life. If you can't do that, the customer won't buy it. Or they might just buy it because they like you and they trust you to that level where they will just buy whatever you say. If you've got a client like that, cherish them and hold on to them. But for people who you have not built up that level with, you gotta show them how this is going to make their day easier, their day better. If I came to your desk today and said, "Hey, buy the next level of managed services platform," why should you buy it? Because you're going to get more stuff.
Yeah.
Does it provide value for you? I need to show you that you need to spend an extra $150 a month because it's going to do something for you. It's going to generate revenue for you. It's going to help you communicate with your team better. What is it that you're going to get? You've got to do the same thing with your clients. You are a vendor. You have to show them that this firewall isn't just a new shiny firewall, but it's actually going to make their day easier. Will their internet get noticeably faster? Probably not unless they've got a really crappy firewall in there. Will a new firewall help them fill out their TPS reports more efficiently? Nope, there's still going to be 6 of them. But you might be able to say, hey, this has an added feature where working from home is a lot easier. You know how you have to like dial in, or you have to, oh man, I'm old. You have to remote in and you have
That's
to
a
sign
skip
on
call
3
there.
times. And well, this firewall is going to allow us to do SSO. And the importance of that is you just get to log into the firewall and everything's going to work. It's going to be seamless. Or maybe it's got a feature where you open up your laptop and you're immediately connected to the firewall no matter where you are. So you're automatically on a VPN. Those are some of the features I really like as a cybersecurity person.
Yeah,
People
and
like it when you make their lives easier. So
well, when you're diving into these architectures, it's a two-part deal. And I like starting with architecture because that is again kind of in our comfort zone from the technical perspective, but you need to be aware of what your clients are doing with these technology solutions. So remember, when we talk architecture, we're talking about what is in the client's environment. And if you're looking through tickets and you're seeing just ticket after ticket get opened, and at the end of the day, all those tickets tie back to the firewall issue, or maybe they have a really old storage array that just isn't up to snuff. It has a multitude of problems. And when you're talking to the client, you want to go back and say, look, you guys need to update your storage array. And you don't want to say you need to update it because it's old, right? And we can throw, I know I'm being a little oversimplified there, but we really want to drive what value it's going to bring to your clients. Are they having problems attaching product information to sales quotes because the SAN link keeps breaking? All right. So that could be an issue. And so now you got their whole team running through a variety of other solutions to get this product material out the door. What your client really wants to hear is, hey, if you guys upgrade your SAN, we can make your sales and quoting process much, much more effective, right? They're really interested in that. They're interested in making sales. They really don't care about that SAN so much. Yep. I mean, if it was a bunch of monkeys and typewriters, they would be just as happy as long as their sales were meeting expectations. So really focus on what the client is needing this resource for. Obviously, we want to go through, do the assessment, be clinical. And you guys hear me say that all the time in the trading sessions. The assessments are our opportunity to be clinical, but then we want to take that clinical diagnostic and align it with the company's needs and the company's goals.
Yeah, your clients care about the same thing that you do. I mean, they really do. They want to make money. They want to serve their people better. And we talk about that all the time at Virtual C. So let's see here.
And yes, for those wondering, Adam has an enormous screen sitting in front of him.
What? All right. So I think I just broke myself. Anyways, enormous screen behind me, the color of Argyle. Just so you guys know, if you ever want to know about my setup and how I do all this stuff with the motion backgrounds and like why it's so seamless, like why is there a little shadow right there? And that's because I was cleaning my office and I didn't get my lights lined back up. But this is a giant Argyle painted wall. It looks nice when people walk into my office, but then you look at it like this is a corner over here. You can't see my corner. There's lots of little tricks you can do to make these setups really great so you can have great virtual meetings. Okay, tangent done. So when I'm demoing my software, I always want to stay in front of my clients. And so when I talk to you, I'm treating you the same way you should be treating your clients. Your clients want to make money. You want to make money. I am here to, and Skip is here to help you change conversations. That's Skip and I's mission at Managed Services Platform / Humanize IT. We are here to turn your presentations and to conversations that are meaningful for your client. And it all starts with architecture. So with that, we're going to go into our favorite client, Joe's Trucks, not Red Fist.
I like Red Fist.
Yeah. All that Taekwondo. And so it is 2022. And as I put to people, if you guys have been in these before, is that, you know, we did a architecture assessment last year, infrastructure assessment 2021. We are now in infrastructure assessment 2022. Now, there's two ways, again, as we said last week, there's two ways to do this. You can rename this to 2022 after you've updated it. The process is to snapshot and then rename so that you know you have updated it. Or you can just leave it as infrastructure assessment and then you know down here the time and date. But what I've done is I've created a new assessment here that I can go through with my clients. Now, hopefully you have a great enough relationship where you were able to complete this audit without the client present. That is key. Your client does not like talking through this stuff. They hate it. I guarantee you there's not a client around who wants to sit down and go through this with you. Wait, I'm going to scratch that. There are the type A personalities that love to go through checklists and check this stuff off. If you have one of those, let them walk through it with you. They'll have a great time, you know, flipping through all these and watching the graphs change and everything. But what you want to do is you want to go through and answer this before the meeting, and then you want to come into the meeting and just talk about these two things. So that when you say, hey, we really need to make that quoting system more reliable. Wait, how are you going to do that? We click on it and we look at it. Oh, we're going to go ahead and we're going to upgrade a couple servers. I'm not selling them servers. I'm selling them a more reliable quoting system. Let that sink in, people, because this is how you make money.
Yes.
This is how your customers' perceived value of you goes up. And here's the sad part is you have to know how your client works. What does this server do? You know it's a problem server. You know that you get tickets on this thing at least twice a month because backups aren't working correctly, because it's slow, or name a multitude of problems. Your job is to translate what this server does into business speak. So you're going to say, this is going to make the system more reliable. Now, this is the old way of doing it. So with a dashboard, hopefully you filled out infrastructure assessment 2022 before you came in, and you're actually talking to your customer through this. And now we look at make quoting system more reliable, and we click in here, we talk about it, and they're so excited. I say, hey, you know, let's talk in detail. What really do you want to see out of this project? You know, and let's modify this and get their feedback while you're in the room with them. Like, is there anything else that's really bothering you about this? And, you know, in the past, I've had people say, well, we're running a dynamic server on there. I don't even know if anybody uses Dynamics anymore. That's how long ago I did this stuff. But we have a dynamic server and the manufacturing module is enabled. Is there any way to get that off of there so we don't have to deal with all that extra stuff? And like, you know what? Let me talk to my guys and we'll see that. We put it down here.
Yeah, and remember, you don't have to be an expert in their business. Your clients are already the experts. Just leverage their expertise, bring your technology expertise, and if you will collaborate and have a conversation, then you're really going to be able to, close this out and really make some progress here.
Yep. Ask them about this quoting system tool that they're running on here, and are there things that they need to know? Like they may say, hey, is there any way we could have like a backup server? Because this system is so important to us. And when it went down last April, it was a big deal. And you'd be like, well, for an extra like $3,000, we could have a redundant server sitting there running it and doing this. Just you could quote them just off the top of your head. It'll cost roughly this. Here's what we could do. We could have a redundant piece of hardware sitting there ready to pop up in case anything goes wrong. An HA system, a cluster, put it in a VMware system, and have two of them running side by side. You figure out what you want to do. But you can look into that. But while you're upgrading the server, you have sold them on a more reliable quoting system. And here's the beauty of this is that you can deliver more, but you have not talked to them once about a server. Most of you out there will go into a client and say, you need to buy a new server because this thing is sick. Oh, okay. So you're going to mechanic and you're talking about how you're going to have to pay $3,000 to have your engine overhauled. Cool. I know I need to do that, but can I get by for a little longer without the engine overhaul? Oh yeah. I mean, but you don't know. You're probably going to break down again. Well, it's only going to cost me a couple $100 when it breaks down versus $3,000. Now you walk into the mechanic and they say, tell you what, we're going to make it so that your engine is going to run better. You're going to have better gas mileage and you're not going to have to worry about seeing us very often. Like, cool. How do I do that? We're going to have to overhaul your engine. It's going to cost about $3,000. Here's what you gain out of it. They're not talking about my engine. They're talking about how my life experience is going to change by doing this thing. You're selling an experience. You're selling a business upgrade. You're not selling architecture. Yes, the architecture behind there is what is enabling this to happen, but your client doesn't care about the details. They care about what do they gain and what is the price. And to that end, I'm trying to make the tool a lot more seamless there, and I'm itching to show you guys what are some of the features that we're coming out with and have on the roadmap that's going to make this super duper easy. I am late. Remember, Adam Walter is lazy. Everything we come out with will be based around making this seamless conversation happen in the laziest fashion possible.
So while we're going, let me put a plug in here again. I know I'm looking at the attendee list. I know some of you guys are doing this. Some of you are in various stages of use of the tool. If you're seeing something that's like, hey, I really need this thing out here, please let us know, because we are in a great cycle and a great place in the tool, and I'm excited about some of the updates we have coming out as well. So we want to make sure this is, performing the way you guys need it. I'm confident in the concepts that we're pushing. This business focused approach it's not rocket science. This is clearly a place that we need to be as an organization. But what is the best way to get there? So you guys are on the front lines. Adam and I've got lots of experience in various things to make it happen. Let's leverage the expertise, much like I'm telling you with your clients. You guys are the experts at sitting in front of your customers and talking to them about these technology projects, right? Let us help you with that. Let us bring the tools to the table that make your life better.
Yeah. So the other little kind of pro tip, we used to call them pro tips in our help articles. While you're sitting in here, if you want to endear yourself to your client, while you're sitting there, be okay with the fact that, hey, you know what? I'm not the Dynamics expert. I am not the QuickBooks expert on our team. But I'm putting a note in here right now that says, I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, Alice, the team member that does know QuickBooks, please look out a solution for the Dynamics server, the QuickBooks server, whatever they're using. or figure out what that means and what it looks like. Now your client knows that you're admitting you don't know everything, but as a technical expert, you're going to use your team, which no one else has, to figure out this problem. Now you have provided value right off the bat, because you're sitting there with your client not as this know-it-all kind of jerk that's up there going, hey, I am better than you, I know everything, and just off the cuff coming up with answers. You're saying, hey, you know what? Let me look into that for you. And you create a note here. This stays in the system so that when you go back to your team and you review the findings in your QBR, that there's this note that says, hey, Alice, are you willing to look into this? And she says, oh, yeah, let's create a ticket there. And if you want to, you can even go into your report and create a ticket. So we manage the linked report or open linked report right here. And you can go down to that section and you can create a ticket. Oh man, let's see if I can do this really quickly. Skip's so much better doing this than I am.
So, yeah, go into the technology assessment to create a ticket. Or if you want to create a task, two very, very similar elements in our tool. And we can do some of the same things with them, but tickets are created from within the assessment engine here. So that's pretty well defined. But remember, also at the top of all of the widget boxes, there is a little hidden icon there that you can click on to create a task. And a task is a little bit, as you might think, it's a little bit more of a to-do item as opposed to as a ticket item. And I haven't talked about it in a while, so I will mention this, the hidden menu items. I get questions about that every once in a while. You know, why are all these menu items hidden? Remember, the idea is that you're using this tool in front of your clients. It is part of your conversation. And if we fill the screen with all these dials and, you know, cogs and buttons to flip and push and all, it's distracting to the engagement. So maybe if I tell you that, that'll take off a little bit of the questioning there about why some of these items are hidden. It is, again, meant to make sure it looks good in front of your customers. And if you know they're there, usually after, you know, the first time or two, you'll know where all those hidden items are. So if you're unfamiliar with that, at the very top of the widget, in the gray area above the white bar, is a task button that you can click on, and you can create a task as well. So yeah, it's the one to the left there, where it says 0. Yep, so that is a task function. And so two things that you can do that are very specific, more smaller chunks of items as opposed to a larger project. You can put those in here in something contextual within the environment. So if we do it down in the assessment section, when we push that out to our PSA, it's going to bring some of the subcategory information along with it. So when that ticket shows up, it's going to say, hey, this is in response to network communications, server infrastructure, right? So it pre-populates all that in there. But if you got something extra, like maybe this is a great deal, you know, Dynamics, we aren't in the tool. We don't have a section specifically around Microsoft Dynamics. We just need a task, and we know someone in our staff can do this. Well, then we can create a task to do that. So very, very similar. They're handled in similar ways, but tickets and tasks, closely related, quick action items.
Yeah. And doing this in front of your client, that's great. You can do that. I prefer like going back and using the notes area. And if you guys get to the point where we see enough, so we watch Sherlock reports, which monitors our site and how you guys are using it so we can improve sections that you guys are actually using. If you're in the dashboard and you really want to be able to create a ticket from this area, like quoting system, create ticket, you want to or a task option here, you know, let us know. It's a simple thing to add on. We just tried to make this very clean. And then you can manage your PSA from the report or when you get back or view your own workflow. So right now, we don't have the export to ConnectWise on this page. It's on the back end because this is meant to communicate with your client. But it is nice to be able to have that notes area, like I said. You open up your notes and you can see what you talked about. And then the next time you come in for QBR, you open up your notes and like, oh yeah, we did look into that and here's what we found. You know, it becomes a talking point. You're not losing track of things. So your client is getting more confidence in who you are and what they're buying. This is why some of you out there have had great success in your QBRs, because now they're relatable. If you've taken any public speaking classes, you can always persuade people more when you make it relatable. It's a trick of the trade. Another trick, if you listen to our podcast, Gina referred to it as using the term and instead of but. Anytime you're trying to talk about a project, anytime you're trying to sell your client on something, use the term and. Never say but. And now you're giving them permission and you're helping build them up and relating to what they are saying so that they can feel validated when they buy this thing. You're asking them to spend $10,000. They need to know this is going to help them. You're asking them to take a leap of faith for you or say, hey, you know what, you don't offer that? Well, let me look into it. You want to show them that vulnerability. Like, hey, you know what, that's a gap we have, but let me look into that. Since we're not Dynamics people, Alice is on my team. She's not here today, but I can get her to research this for you. You're showing them that you're working with them. And then when if an MSP comes in and says, oh yeah, we're the greatest people ever, we can do all this stuff for you, and they promise the world like every salesperson does, yeah, but you don't have an Alice. You don't have a Bob. Because those are the people I know. And that's the relationship builder. That's the perceived value that you're going after. So when you're reading these best practices from ConnectWise or HTG or from Datto, and they say you need to run a QBR, you need to increase your perceived value. This is what they're talking about, the relationship building. And no piece of software can help you do relationships. And our software is not meant to build a relationship. Our software is meant to encourage you to have these conversations so that you, who are awesome at what you do, really shine at it. And the next person comes in and they're just okay, and they look like nothing like you. So when you're doing something as boring as a architecture audit, which your clients really are like, ugh, more money to spend, you're actually relationship building while you're using this tool. You're using that to make conversation. It's forcing you to stop talking about servers and firewalls and tickets and tasks, and it's making you talk about the quoting system. We had to rename this project from, if you saw in the report, it was servers, and I actually had to search for it because I couldn't remember. What I do know is I am solving this problem.
Yes.
This sells. This works, people. And it helps your engineers know more about your clients. It helps your owners know more, your account managers know more. And yes, it requires 5 minutes extra work, but it's going to net you $10,000 more. Know this stuff. Change the name of the project. Maybe we should make it a forced field, Skip. You cannot add a project to a roadmap without renaming it.
You know, that's one of the tests that I do. So I'll do follow-up calls with folks after they've been on the platform for a little while. We'll get onto a follow-up session and I'll have them bring up a list. So there's a feature in the tool. If you haven't seen it there, it's under the client's options. You can look at all of your projects. All right, it's an internal view, allows you to see everything in your organization. And I'll have them bring that up and I'll take a quick glance at it. And it's one of my little tests that says, are you really interfacing with your clients? Are you understanding what they need? And if they are, a lot of those projects, probably not all of them, but a lot of them will be changed. The name will look different. And when I see a listing that has just all of the generic stock names of all these projects, I know they're probably not having the right conversations, or at least they're not following up and communicating that well with some documentation. So
you're leaving cash on the table.
Absolutely. Because if you're just pushing a mobile device management solution, your clients aren't hearing you. All right. They aren't listening. All right. But when you talk about keeping track of the iPads, then you're going to wake them up. They're going to go, oh, yes, that's what we want. MDM, I don't know what that means. But you help me keep track of these things I keep dropping $600 on because they keep getting lost or whatever. Now you've got their attention.
Yes. And, so for the last point I wanted to make for today, so I've deep dived into the architecture report, and I really wanted to deep dive into what the components of the architecture report are. And we'll continue on with this next week. but how to drive your project with proper audit procedures. Do this outside of meetings. Audit and run reports and fill the reports out. Don't bother your clients with this. Proper audit procedure, validate and answer the questions outside of meeting time. Meeting time is for discussions, and you guys all know this. You hate being in meetings where you sit there and you're a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
It's a waste of your time. You could have watched a recording. Use the meeting to discuss the results of the audit, not to actually perform it. And then finally, the last thing you need to do is this wheel here. Move the needle, people. It doesn't matter if it has to go forward or backwards. Move the needle so that when you're doing the 2022 audit, look at this. It went down. Oh my gosh, it went down 11%. Why? Because several of their servers went out of date and they have to take care of this. Now you have a context like, hey guys, you guys went down by 11%. Maybe someday we'll have a year over year button in here somewhere. Who knows? But you went down 11%, and that's because a number of your assets went out of warranty, and we had to answer no on that question. You're not using best practices. Now you can show them a visualization. People love visualizations. This will help you sell more. So those are my 3 tips for today. That is where we are as a company, and that is where we are going to stay until next week when we really start kind of talking about best practices. What is on the list next week, Skip? Do you know? It's been
Actually,
a great day.
I was wondering about how far we ought to go into. So you get me rolling on this, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh, we could talk about this, we could do that. And so, like I need to maybe dial it back here a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So the next week is integrating with the dashboard. So what I showed you today was a lot of the dashboard, and I will always focus on the dashboard because I want you to focus on the dashboard. We will treat you the same way you should treat your clients. So when I open up the reports and I look at it and I see how it is, I'm like, okay, that looks cool, and it's worked in the past. People have built many world-class reports and sold a lot of great things just by using, yes. So show us how to configure all these settings. That will be next week. So next week we're going to talk about integrating with the dashboard and how we get all those in. Now, if you want hands-on one-on-one support, just reach out to Skip. He will show you how to integrate with your PSA. Specifically, I'm going to talk in these weekly meetings generically how this works, but if you need specific help, reach out to Skip. You don't have to pay extra for that. Skip loves to answer calls. He likes it when you call him at 2 a.m. with specific questions. But yes, if you reach out to Skip, he will walk you through specifically how your PSA integrates with your software. If you did not get that during your onboarding, I apologize. But Skip will help you in a one-on-one session. He'll answer everything you need personally. Just reach out to him, skip.ziegler@managedservicesplatform.com or coaching@virtualc.biz. There's a number of locations. Reach out to us. We will help you personally. That's one of the things that you get with Managed Services Platform. You don't get with very many other people, is that we are humans. We will help you walk through your unique situation.
Absolutely. And just to reaffirm that, I mean, yes, I mean, at 2 a.m., as long as your time zone is Eastern European, you can call me at 2 a.m. And I'll be more than happy to help. But yes, I really do enjoy getting on these calls. I see exciting stuff. I like seeing how you guys are using the tool, and I learn a lot in those calls. So, don't be surprised if some of the things that you're talking about don't find their way back into the tool to make things even better. So, it's very much a helpful situation for all of us. And I really am a firm believer, if we aren't all being successful here, then we aren't being successful at all. So let me help you out.
Yeah, next week we will be diving into the dashboard integration. Then next week we're going to be talking about how taking that stakeholder information. So if you've had stakeholder interviews in January, or you're planning on some stakeholder interviews, how to add that in a meaningful way into your architecture audits. So you've seen that we've added this context in there. Now we're going to show you where we got that and how we translate it into meaningful content. Bob wanted this at work, or the big problem is constantly having to submit tickets on PCs. These things that you're going to hear from your stakeholder reviews, printers never seem to work. These are things that you're going to solve, and you're going to put them in here as your recommendations as solutions to actual questions. So over the next 3 weeks, integrate with the dashboard. We're going to see a lot more hands-on with that. To stakeholder data, where we're going to put that in. And in 3, we're going to end February with recommendations and then how to move them into projects. And that way you can run this throughout the year. If anybody has any questions, again, you can even reach out to me. I'm not as helpful as Skip is, but I will muddle my way through and figure it out. And if it's a developer thing, a feature request, ask either one of us. We'll talk to the dev team and get that on the roadmap, and we'll definitely help you out. But for now, this was a great week. I look forward to getting through to the dry end of QBRs by the end of February. It's a cold month. It's a good time to sit down and just fill out reports and drink lots of whiskey. So we'll talk to you guys all next week.
Yes.